ever watched Queer Eye and thought, this is great, but I wish they showed more practical skills I could apply in my real life to boost my self-esteem and skill set without the benefits of Netflix money? If so, then this is the video for you. As a renter, I can't really make any changes to my house, and so I was very excited when I moved into this house and it had the kind of blinds that Bobby is always saying are great, the kind that you can just pull down. Oh! There we go. And then to open it, all you have to do is pull it. Just there we go. Life hacked. Here's the thing about renting. Look at that blank wall. Look at it. It's looking back, isn't it? It's mocking you. It's saying, you can't put shelves up. You can't put pictures up, because that would make marks on the wall. So what do you do? Everyone who knows me will be aware I am a fashion god. My fashion has been varyingly described as, like, so bad I love it. No, the patterns! Help! Help! And, oh, I didn't realise you intended to wear that outside. Let's get real for a minute though. Cue the sentimental music. I'm not gonna tell you what to wear, because you probably don't want to wear the clothes I wear. I used to be really uncomfortable about the clothes that I wore. Other kids would come up to me and be like, oh, why don't you wear something more like... People acted as if they were doing you a kindness. It was like they saw me and they pitied me for how bad I looked, and that really sucks. And I'm not saying that's necessarily what Queer Eye does. I think Queer Eye, in a lot of ways, no matter how shallow you think it is, it can be very uplifting, and they have done a lot of good in people's lives. But most people can't afford to completely revamp their whole wardrobe. And you know, obviously this doesn't work for everyone. I have never been interested in fashion as in terms of something that you follow, like doing things because it is fashionable. I'm sure there are things that I wear that are fashion, rarely by accident. I don't think anyone would accuse me of having fashion. But I used to really hate like any kind of talk about fashion because I just had so much flack for not being fashionable. But now it's like, yeah, you know, it's a thing that some people like, and that's fine, and if that makes you happy, then go for it. What I want for myself is to look at myself, and even if I'm wearing a food-stained sweatshirt, still be like, hey, looking fly. No, I mean, I just mean that I want to be able to see myself when I look in the mirror, and I don't think that I can get that from a look that somebody else has decided for me. If I feel comfortable, I will enjoy my appearance, because it is a form of comfort, I think, to look in the mirror and see yourself, and that's something that everybody deserves. So the food that Anthony cooks always looks great, but between me and my housemates, we have a lot of allergies, intolerances and dietary restrictions. So I thought I would show you a recipe for vegan gluten-free pretzels, which is actually a lot more fun than it sounds and a lot more successful. So unfortunately, when I made them, this was the one time that they actually came out really badly. So I'm just going to do the voiceover as if they had come out well, because the technique is basically the same, and I'll just tell you what I did wrong and then you can do it right. Okay? Okay, so we start with 3/4 of a cup of warmish water, a teaspoon of yeast, easy bake yeast, that's Swift yeast, whatever it's called, a half teaspoon of salt, and I'm really sad, and a teaspoon of sugar, and mixy until the yeast and all the other stuff is dissolved. Mix. And then you add a cup and a half of a gluten-free flour blend. The one I'm using here is Dove's Farm. And you mix it until it forms a ball, which you should be able to touch without it sticking to your fingers. It'll be kind of sticky, but you should be fine. If it's too sticky, you can add a bit more flour. You don't really need to knead it because it is gluten-free, so that doesn't make any difference. Then you fill your kettle with water and you boil it, and you put some baking soda into a pan, and when that is boiling and ready, you start forming the pretzels. So take a small amount. I find you have to use quite a small amount because otherwise it will fall apart when you start making it into a sausage. It's best if you roll it on a flat surface going in the same direction, because otherwise it will form an air bubble in the middle and it will break apart. And don't roll it too thin because otherwise it will fall apart. Gluten-free, that's what it does. So basically you just have to practice and see what makes it fall apart. Unlike with flour that has gluten in it, this dough can really be like reworked a lot of times because I don't know why, science. So then you form into the pretzel shape. I find that it's better to have the bits like as thick and close together as possible and a small shape, because otherwise it just doesn't have very good consistency, so it will turn into a very squiggly shape if not. And you need to get it onto the spoon immediately and into the water, otherwise it will get too warm and spread out and stick to the tray and the spoon, and you'll have to start again and you will be sad. So you put it into the water. It's a kind of slow process because you can't do them in advance, but it's fine. It's still pretty quick overall. And then you boil it for about 30 seconds until it floats to the top, and then put it on your tray. And once it's boiled, it will pretty much stay the same shape, so you don't need to worry about it after that. And then you bake it for 10 minutes. As you can see, I've got some very exciting, interesting shapes here. I did not do very well this day because I was trying to film it, and that meant that I was a lot slower than usual. So really what you have to do is make the dough and then boil it and cook it straight away. Don't leave it lying around. I don't know why, maybe it gets warm or I overboiled it, but anyway, it was pretty chewy and gross. But now again I'm going to pretend that I made no mistakes and pretend that this is super light and fluffy inside. Like, wow, look at that, it's beautiful. Fortunately my lighting is bad enough that you can't tell how awful it looks. And just look at this face of joy. Wow, it should not be that chewy. Usually when I make them, they are really like proper bread pretzels and they taste great. Also great if you add in some cinnamon and extra sugar to the mixture and coat them with a cinnamon sugar butter mix. That is delicious. You can also brush them with garlic oil to make some low FODMAP garlic pretzels. Very tasty. Anyway, this one was a complete failure, but you can do it right. Look, I tried to cut my hair with a knife. I don't think anyone wants my advice on this matter.
Exciting! What's it going to look like? I can hardly wait.
I really, really hope we don't have to assemble this thing.
It's fine. We're two competent women. Have some faith in yourself.
Ooh,
shiny.
So orange.
Right. Beautiful. I think we should aim to do this as non-dramatically as possible, unlike when we put the IKEA furniture together.
The thing is, I think drama is an essential part of learning. I think even if you scream, it doesn't make you any less competent.
To be fair, you're still injured from that.
How do we get this out? It's like actually...
We're not going to fall at the first hurdle.
Whoa! And it's attached.
Oh god, this looks like a nightmare.
Oh my god!
Your strength. Use your muscles.
Yes!
That's it.
Okay.
I'm an engineer. My dream.
She did it. We are powerful. Yes! Hip tip.
Hip tip.
Wear closed-toed shoes because otherwise the spinning blades of death might kill your toes.
Right.
I have to admit that I have a terror of power tools and I count this as a power tool. It has
Such power tool.
a spinning blade of death. Ah.
Do it. Do it.
It's really hard to press.
Use your strength.
Nothing's happening.
Use your muscles.
What did we do wrong? It's not actually working. Is it? It's actually plugged in, isn't it? Wait. Ah! Whoa! Oh my god, look at that!
Did it do it?
It did.
Did it?
Oh, it smells like mown grass.
Oh, beautiful.
I don't think this bit even really needs mowing. It's not working. Look at that, we did it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Britain's best kept lawn 2019. I'm going to enter us.
What do you feel you've learned?
I feel like I've learned that I was inadequate before, and now that I've mowed a lawn, I'm a complete human being, worthy of respect.
Hip tip. If you can't afford new furniture, just completely rearrange the furniture you already have, and it will look new. So that's it. I hope you have found some of this useful and that you can now go and live your best life with my advice.